So here's another biblical concept that has gotten lost in translation involving times and terms. We simply understand that the word time here does not put limits specifically in the context. So time from G5550 is chronos. Where then we have another Greek word here from kairos, which defines a term limit. So you see down here in the definition, it even says a measure of time. And it's not necessarily defined, but it puts term limits on the context where we find this word. And it shouldn't be translated the same as chronos. Which we see here, they have done this in the King James. So kairos is translated time, season, many different things here where you see also chronos has been translated the same thing, not distinguishing time from terms. So these are two different words, and they're seen together in some verses, like here in Acts chapter 1, verse 7, where times is plural from chronos, and then terms is from kairos. So you see how the Devar translation has distinguished kairos according to translating it according to limited times, term limits, where the word times doesn't necessarily define specific opportunities. And I could give many examples as to why this is extremely important to distinguish between time and terms. Or for example, in 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 3, what Paul is explaining here is limited to a term. One term, it's in the singular. There will be a limited time where King James and other translations have translated kairos as time. So this is actually specific to a term, which I believe it is now. Here in Luke chapter 8, verse 13, when Jesus speaks of those who will faith for one term, again, this is defining a limited time. And it's undefined. We're not told how much time they faith, but then they stand off, which here the word stand off is actually the verb form of apostasy. And here's actually another occurrence of the same verb, ephistemi, which again means to apostatize, which the noun would be the apostasy, which in hysterical terms, which here it's plural. So we see the relationship of apostasy and terms, where here in the King James, again, they've translated it times. Remember, the word time is from chronos. Terms is kairos. It's different. They're limited times. Here in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 6, where we find the noun apostasy concerning the human of the lawlessness, well, there he has his unveiling here. He will be unveiled in his term, a limited time, kairos. Where again, in the King James, they've translated it time, not distinguishing the limited term limit of his unveiling, which has a beginning and an end. Which then, of course, has a direct relationship to the apostatizing ones, which again, this is the verb concerning hysterical terms, which I'll make a video talking about this word here later. Then again, here, wild terms defines limited times with specific happenings according to the last days, which this is all related, everything that I've been pointing out here, where terms is from kairos, not chronos, which the King James and all translations have not distinguished between times and terms. Where here's a very important verse that is misunderstood, since there is a term of the origin beginning of the judgment, from the outcalled, from apo. So this is defining a limited time of the beginning of the judgment that begins with the outcalled or the church of God. So it's limited. Or if you're reading this in the King James, for the time has come that judgment must begin at the house of God. Which this is yet another video, house, which is different from dwelling site here. But the point is that this identifies a term of the beginning. So there's a limited time of the beginning of the judgment that begins from the church or the outcalled, which then, of course, the judgment will continue into other terms, where in fact the very first occurrence of the word kairos, term, singular here, is the demon or the unclean spirit saying, have you come here to torment us, yea, before the term, which would not be the origin beginning of the judgment. This will be the conclusion or at the end of the judgment, into the great day of the judgment. And the angels of Matthew 25:41, Jude 6:7. So again, when you're reading this in the King James, it just says, have you come to torment us before the time? Not distinguishing this fact that it's referring to a limited term, one term. So times and terms have to be distinguished. So when we're reading the context of these verses, we know whether it's referring to something that's limited or something that's not specifically limited. Where I invite you to consider the Devar Bible translation, which is not for sale. It's free. And if you're interested in this exceptional Bible translation, which has taken great care in translating from the original Hebrew and Greek texts into English, you can get it by following this video, where in the comment section, I have a link that you can copy and paste into any browser, which will take you to a file share site called HiDrive. Then you have to put in the passcode. And you can download the installation files for Mac, PC, and Android phone. Let me add that I had created an audio version of the Devar New Testament, Psalms and Proverbs, which you can find here at YouTube, called the Devar Translation Audio Bible. It's not me reading it. I read it, and then I converted it to a different voice. So they're organized here in playlists, if you're interested in just listening. I also have a YouTube channel called Lost in Translation here, which I created years before I started uploading these videos here to TikTok, where I would love for any of you to come over here and subscribe and strike up some discussion in the comment section. It's a lot easier having discussions on YouTube comment sections than on TikTok. So, as always, thank you for watching. Please like the videos, share, repost, and God bless.